Welcome to another episode of No and Gemini. This is Jesse.
And I'm Lavelle. And today we're going to talk about Elizabeth Holmes. She's the lady that ran Theranos. She's the one that perpetrated a $9 billion fraud in the medical industry, saying that she had a machine that could prick your finger, get a couple of drops of blood, and she could run over 250 tests on that machine. Or turns out she was supposed to go to jail on the 27th of April, and she ended up getting her attorneys to get her appeal heard by a judge at the last second. So now she's going to be out of jail until she gets that appeal heard, which could take probably 3 weeks to a month. So it doesn't seem like she's planning on going to jail anytime soon.
And she's actually been trying to do everything in her power to avoid from going to jail. Like the first time when she was going on trial, she had a baby and then was trying to use that as an excuse. Then that didn't work when she got sentenced. Then she got pregnant again, had another baby. And last week, didn't they? Wasn't it they reporting that she had tried to go to Mexico?
Yeah, but she tried to go to Mexico before she got sentenced, and I don't know why that didn't factor into the judge sentencing of her because I didn't realize she tried to go to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I heard about that last week, but it turns out she tried to go back in February.
That's
So
crazy.
this lady's been trying to get out of jail, and I don't think she's going to go to jail. I think she
I think
is
she's
going to
gonna
do
win that appeal.
something
She's
to
gonna
stay
win
out
that
of jail.
appeal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she might win. She got a lot of money. Her boyfriend is super wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
and I can
He's
see her.
related to like the Hiltons, right? Like Paris Hilton and that family.
It's a hotel. He's a heir to a hotel fortune, but I don't think it's the Hiltons. It's somebody, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, they have a lot of money,
Yeah.
so they can get out of this situation.
Yep.
And this is what they said on the news. We're gonna play this clip real quick.
Latest on Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos founder was convicted of defrauding investors into her blood testing startup, was expected to report to prison today for an 11-year sentence, but she's holding that off with an 11th hour appeal. Rebecca Jarvis back with that story. Good morning, Rebecca.
Hey, George, and with this story, it seems there is always a curveball, and Elizabeth Holmes, who recently gave birth to her second child, was supposed to report to prison today, but that's not going to happen anymore.
It was supposed to be the first day behind bars for Theranos' Elizabeth Holmes, now a mother of two, after the birth of her second child just months ago. But thanks to a last-minute appeal, the disgraced Silicon Valley founder remains free, at least for a little longer.
Elizabeth's attorneys have and continue to really fight till the death. They are doing everything, using every tool in their toolbox to advocate for their client.
At the
Everything money
11th
can
hour,
buy.
attorneys for Holmes filing a motion challenging a district court's decision to deny her request to stay out of prison while her case is pending appeal. Holmes' 11-year sentence automatically stayed as a result. Earlier this week, the 39-year-old spotted by DailyMail.com in San Diego, the hometown of her partner, hotelier Billy Evans.
And I know she's appealing the decision, but she lives in the San Francisco Bay Area. How is she able to travel 300 plus miles or 400 plus miles to San Diego? Shouldn't she be inside that jurisdiction where she was convicted? I know it's federal, so she has to do her time in Texas, but until she turns herself in, she should have to stay confined within a certain area, or maybe they said she can't leave the state. But that sounds kind of fishy.
Like, she's getting special treatment all around. I mean, obviously, when you have money, you don't have to follow the same rules that normal folks do. You know
Right.
what I mean? Obviously, because with her not just being able to reside in another city, but just the fact that she tried to go into Mexico to avoid going to jail. All these last minute appeals that
Mm-hmm.
she's being granted and stuff. It's like it's ridiculous, and it's she's only doing it because she's got the money to do it, and she's like, fuck it, I'm gonna see how far I can go because I'm not trying to do this 11 years. She's like, fuck that, like and now she's a mother of two, so now she's like she's gonna use the kids as an excuse, like, oh, I need to be with my kids, and um and she's just like, fuck it, kick rocks to the investors that gave me $945 million. Sorry.
Yeah, she has good attorneys. I'll give her that. The best money attorneys can buy. So I mean, if you have money in this system that we have, you're gonna do well with it.
Oh yeah.
But let me play some more.
The two seen in this photo walking with 2-year-old son William. Holmes in sweatpants, a sun hat, and flip-flops, carrying the couple's newborn daughter, Invicta, born in February.
That's a
The
ugly
image
name,
is
by
a
the way.
stark contrast to the Elizabeth Holmes the public originally came to see.
We've made it possible to run comprehensive laboratory tests from a tiny sample or a few drops of blood.
Once the world's youngest female self-made billionaire, Holmes claimed her technology could run hundreds of tests with just a few drops of blood. But it couldn't. Holmes was convicted of 4 counts of fraud and conspiracy in January 2022. Holmes, who appealed that conviction last week, will soon find out if this latest appeal lets her remain free during that process, which can last years.
It's highly unlikely in these types of circumstances for an appeals court to rule that a convicted defendant can stay out pending her appeal. The standard is that the government was lacking evidence to such a degree that it is likely that an appeals court would overturn the conviction. That just doesn't happen very frequently.
So the government now has 10 days to respond to Holmes's motion, and then the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decides whether or not she can remain free during that appeals process. Keep in mind, her former boyfriend and Theranos COO, Sunny Belwani, filed this same kind of appeal, but ultimately it just delayed his sentence for about 3 weeks. He reported to prison last week, and the legal analysts we talked to, guys, expect the same outcome for Elizabeth Holmes.
Damn.
I hope that
They put Sonny's stupid ass in jail already.
well, he turned himself in. He's like, fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna do my time and get this over with.
But but he did exhaust all his appeals already. So that's why he just said, I'm gonna do this 12 years or 13 years. In the feds, you have to do at least 85%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 12 years and some change. And she got 11 years. I actually thought she should have got more time because she was the one going around to college campuses, speaking on this, doing multiple interviews at the White House with the Obamas, had Joe Biden visit the facility. She did all of this.
Right.
And I think he was supporting it. But if she's the front person of this and she's speaking about, being empowered as a woman, but now she wants to play this like damsel in distress, and she can't, understand how they would think that she would defraud people. Because remember, she was actually saying that she didn't understand any of it when she had to do her deposition.
Oh,
she was saying that she didn't
everything
understand.
on Sonny. She said it was all him. She was just going along with whatever he wanted to do, and she or she would act like she didn't remember. You know what I mean? But it's an act. Like, she's trying to do what she can do to beat this case. Not beat the case because she was already found guilty, but she's not gonna go to jail. And to be honest, I think that with the appeal, they're gonna find a loophole. They're gonna find a loophole to either reduce the sentence where they're not gonna have her do the 11 years, or they may grant her a new trial, and then that'll buy her some more time to be out.
But remember, she's so arrogant. She asked the judge, "Can I be sentenced to 18 months of house arrest in her
11 years
in her multi-million-dollar mansion, where she doesn't have to go outside or do anything because she has a husband or boyfriend or whatever he is, that's gonna bring her everything she needs. She can't leave the house, but that's not really a prison. You're in your own home.
It's not. I mean, for her, it'll be like a prison because she probably can't go on vacation or go where she may want to go. But it's really not. It's really not that bad if they do grant her house arrest. You know what I mean? Because she's got plenty of help, plenty of money.
Yeah, but they're fucking crazy if they give this woman house arrest after what she did. She tried to kill people. And didn't give a shit. There were people that were going in there to see if they had some type of ailment. They did the test on that shitty ass machine of hers. Mm-hmm. And One guy, he actually had high levels of something. It was so high that he thought he had cancer. And they said, well, this is abnormal. You're not sick. Something's wrong. And they sent him to LabCorp or a different type of diagnostic center, and it came back normal.
Yeah.
So doctors, they base their decisions on blood work. Oh, your blood work says this. That's how they determine if you have cancer or whatever, your diabetes, whatever you might have. That's how they determine that. And if you're giving a false reading, they're going to have you do something and go through a bunch of different medications that you don't have to take because you don't have the disease or what kind of sickness this machine says you have. So, yeah, she just fucked up all the way around. She didn't care about people dying. That's why I can't forgive her.
Yeah, not only that, but didn't one of her employees commit suicide?
Yeah, Dr. Ian Gibbons, because
he was helping her in the beginning, and he was trying to get this machine going and get it working. Because granted, the idea would have been great had it worked. Who wants to have tubes and tubes of blood drawn if you don't need to? If you can just get a few pricks on your finger and get a whole bunch of tests,
Right.
that would have been amazing. Had she been able to do this, it would have been great. And it is good of her to want to do something like that to help people, but I think her ego got the best of her because she wanted so much to be like the first female to be able to invent something like this and be on the cover of all these magazines and do all these interviews and be praised and and everyone talking about her, that instead of her saying like, damn, it's not done yet, like we're still working on it,
And
continue to get money from investors until you can perfect it, to work the way that you're claiming that it's going to work. But she didn't want to wait, and the people that was working for her that was trying to tell her like it's not ready yet, we can't be making these claims about it working right now because it's not ready, she would like threaten them. She had like private investigators on them. She was like doing the what do you call that, like she had like spies and stuff, so she was reading all their emails and everything. Like she was like driving these people crazy, and that one doctor committed suicide because of it, and there was no justice in that. His widow never got justice from that, and the other countless employees that she terrorized, there's no justice in that. She also cause a woman to almost have a miscarriage, or the machine said that the woman was gonna miscarry, and then she ended up having to like go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like she caused a lot of damage, and she didn't get convicted of this stuff. You know what her conviction was? It was for defrauding the investors. So they didn't care about the health of people that the health risk of innocent people that were trying these machines. They didn't care about that. The court system didn't care about that. They convicted her of, oh, you defrauded the investors of $945 million, so that's why you're going to go to jail. Fuck everybody else. Fuck everybody's health, and that's why I hope she doesn't win this appeal, but she's going to win the appeal because she has money, and money talks.
Yep.
At the end of the day, money talks.
All right. I hope she goes to jail, but I don't think she will. I think she'll get out of this somehow. Get house arrest, or they'll throw it out. She has a lot of connections.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she's going to do any jail time. She'll have her ass out and raise her 2 little kids, live in her mansion, and another, black eye for the people that wanted justice against her.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, well, we'll see. We'll follow up on this one because
Yeah.
I've been looking at this story for about 5 years.
I know. We
5
watched all the
years.
documentaries on this and everything. So, guys, if you're not familiar with the story, please watch the documentaries on it. It's intriguing, and it's funny at the same time, but it's only funny in like her characteristics and how she tried to like disguise her voice and act like she was Steve Jobs, and that part is funny, but not the shit that she did.
Okay.
So let's move on.
Let's move on. The next story we're going to talk about is Don Lemon. He got his ass fired this week
Mm-hmm.
because They just didn't like him.
They was just sick of his ass.
Yeah, everybody was sick of Don Lemon.
They were just sick of him.
He and the people at CNN, they were actually promoting the Donald Trump Russia story. I remember that, where they were like, "Oh, he's a Russian agent. He's a spy for the Russian government," and they did all this shit for like 2 years, saying that Trump was a Russian spy, and it turns out he wasn't. And it seems like people just lost their fucking minds under the Trump administration. People that were normally people that had common sense, that actually, were analytical about certain situations, they threw all that out of the window because they had a visceral reaction to Donald Trump and the way he was behaving, which I can't really disagree with the way, people reacted to Trump, because he was doing a lot of dumb shit. Mm-hmm. But it made people lose their fucking minds. So they, after the election of 2020, they try to go back to being a so-called balanced news organization when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals. And they were trying to pivot from that. So they put Don Lemon like on a morning show. Yeah. He pissed off his female colleagues, and they were like seeping information into the press that they're going to fire his ass, because they were like, oh, he's not getting along with his coworkers. He's saying inappropriate things. He said something about Nikki Haley, how she was past her prime. Yeah. And she's a former governor of South Carolina that is now running for president. And some of his female coworkers, took offense to that.
Yeah, I think that he was with CNN for 17 years. And I guess they were just sick of him, and they were just trying to they eventually let shit build up and build up and build up, and then finally they were like, okay, we're gonna feed the press little shit here and there. And in February, I think, when he called Nikki Haley, well, he didn't call her anything, but he said she was not in her prime. Then there was another article in Variety that said that he called a female producer fat right to her face. He was accused of threatening and demeaning Soledad O'Brien, Kyra Phillips, and Nancy Grace. So they already were like, I think before February, I think they were already like, once his contract is up, he's got to go. And then, they let him go. Like, they were just sick of him. But right now they're trying to paint him as like this sexist. And I don't think he is. I mean, he's a fucking gay black man.
But see, that's the thing. He thought he could get away with saying shit like that because he was a gay black dude. He thought that gave him a pass that other people don't get. And he tried to capitalize on that. And I think he tried to use that to his advantage. And he was like, you can't fire me because, he's gay, he's black. He thought that would do something for him. But it didn't. At the end of the day, it's about ratings. It's about numbers. It's about your coworkers. If they don't feel comfortable, just because you're gay doesn't mean, you're not a man. So he forgot that part where, yeah, you may be a part of the LGBTQ CIA community or whatever, but it doesn't matter when it comes to workplace etiquette. If you're calling people fat, you're talking shit about your coworkers behind their backs or in front of or to their face. You're saying shit on the air that they obviously disagree with. So he got what he deserved.
I see your point, but also too, I think it's kind of fucked up, in my opinion, because I'm pretty sure that him working at CNN, he probably, felt comfortable in thinking that these people were his friends. And when you're cool with people that you work with, you're gonna be saying shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, shut the fuck up, you fat ass, or something. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
You said that at work?
No, I've never said fat ass or nothing. But
you said,
if I was cool with
I know,
people
but you said,
at work, I would say some shit that wasn't so professional.
But you said something that was derogatory to your coworkers behind their backs, and didn't think that was gonna get out.
But that's the thing. He called the producer fat right to her face.
No, but he was also saying things behind people's backs. But even if he did say it to her face, would you ever be?
If she's fat, though, what the?
No, hold on. You can't say that.
Chunky people know they chunky. Thick people know they thick. Fat people know they fat. Like, it's not, oh my God, he called me fat. Bitch, look in the mirror. You know you fat. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you
For
can't
me,
go to somebody and say it like he. I'm telling you, he thought because he was gay, he could get away with that. Because like a woman can get away with calling another woman in a playful way. They call him a bitch. You know, you bitch or whatever. But a man can't say that to a female.
right?
You know, and if he were to say that to somebody, they wouldn't take it that way. Even though he meant it as a joke or whatever, but he thought he could get away with all this shit. He was reckless because he was riding high during the Trump administration. There was a bunch of anchors. What was the one that was the governor's brother?
Chris Cuomo.
Yeah, Chris Cuomo. He got fired too because it turned out that.
But that was different.
Yeah, but he was helping his brother, giving him
Right.
advice, and you can't give your brother advice and you're part of a new news organization
But-
and not disclose that information.
Anyone else would have done it.
Yeah,
and
but-
not to say that that's right. I'm not trying to make excuses or say that that's right, because what he did was wrong. Like, he knew he couldn't do that, and he knew he was risking his job and career,
Yeah,
for
but then-
doing that. But
Then
know.
you got to understand the consequences of doing so. Like, I'm going to lose my job if I go and help my brother, who's the governor, and give him inside information of what he might have found out as a reporter
Right.
and feed that to his brother. You can't do that. That's a direct conflict of interest.
Right.
So you got to understand I'm going to lose my job, but he was making millions of dollars with CNN, so it wasn't really hurting his pockets.
Right.
But back to Don Lemon, he thought he could get away with something, and he I think he's trying to put a lawsuit against CNN now.
It's
I
not.
don't
gonna
think it's
work,
gonna
though.
work.
Yeah, it's not going to work, because he even went to the press also and was saying that he was blindsided and he was hurt by the decision. And a spokesperson for CNN was like, "Bro, like, you knew this was coming. Like, you're lying. We kind of gave you plenty of warning. So you can't act like you're surprised that we went this route.
But I wonder if he still had his contract, or was he at the end and they were like, "Get
I'm
the
pretty
fuck
sure
out of
he
here."
was at the end, because otherwise they would have did it before. They would have did it in February when he made that comment, and all these other accusations had came out. They would have did it then, because that would have been ground
Yeah.
for them to terminate him.
Yeah, but I don't celebrate nobody, getting fired. But it's funny because, you could be a kiss ass all you want, which he was, and it backfired on his dumb ass. And now he's crying foul. But it's funny to me that you thought like you were part of the inside crowd and you were part of the elite and nothing was gonna happen to you. For everybody out there, anyone can get fired. Anyone can get fired. Look at Donald Trump. He got indicted. He got arrested. He might get arrested in Georgia, indicted in that case for interfering in the 2020 election.
Right.
So if they could do that to a former president, you got to realize the same thing can happen to you. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that you are going to probably get fired for doing some dumb shit, or if they just want to make you the scapegoat
Yeah.
and they want to clean house. And I think that's what they wanted to do. That's why, you had it's crazy because Trump, he got a lot of people fired. A lot of people at CNN
And
fired.
a lot of people sued. Like,
Fox
had to
News.
pay all this money because they were-
787 billion.
Yeah.
787 billion.
Yeah.
No, 787 million.
Million. Yeah, million. Because, they were going along and along with his made up story of, the elections being stolen from him and it being rigged, and they were going along with this stuff, and because of that, they had to pay all this millions of dollars. Tucker Carlson also was fired the same week. Carlson. He also was
Carlson.
fired. Carlson. What am I
You-
calling him?
Carson?
Carson. Yeah, I fuck up everybody's name. Carlson.
Yeah, he
But,
got fired because Fox tried to get rid of him. They're trying to get back from the extreme. Fox has always been an extremist media company. And it turns out that they were actually saying things contrary to what they were saying to the public.
Yeah,
You know,
he
it-
was texting, like, he would say he was defending Trump, but then his text messages were like, "This motherfucker's crazy. This is bullshit.
Yeah, he
I
didn't
can't
like
believe I gotta
Trump.
report this."
Thought he was a danger to the American democracy.
Which
But
he
what
is.
what does that say about him as a person? If you think this privately, but you're gonna go out and do a complete 180, and not only say all the garbage that was found out to be a lie, that the election was stolen, but then you come out and just praise this guy, but you really hate him.
But here's the thing, though, babe. He was doing his job.
It's
he
not
was
your
doing his job.
In what capacity?
Because if the narrative and if the agenda was to back Trump and support Trump any way possible because he's a Republican and Fox News, there are a bunch of Republicans and they're right wing and conservative news. He was doing his job.
I don't think that's your job as a news organization to push a candidate, but they do it all the time.
I'm not with the Democrats.
I know, MSNBC as well. That's why I don't listen to any of it. I'm actually enjoying the downfall of cable news. Cable news is toxic. They get on air and they shit on YouTube. They shit on all the social media platforms and how people are not credible because they didn't go to journalism school. But they forget that they went to journalism school and they still don't have any ethics. Mm-hmm. CNN pushes Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. MSNBC pushes Hillary Clinton or some other Democrat that they favor. Fox pushes the conservative Republican candidate. Mm-hmm. So there's no integrity in it all. Mm-hmm. And they try to differentiate like the primetime hosts on all three networks. They'll come out and say, well, the primetime hosts, they have a different point of view. It's basically like the equivalent of the editorial page of a newspaper. They're going to say whatever they want. Yeah. That's their opinion. Fine. But when that starts seeping into the main coverage, mainstream coverage of their network, then you can't differentiate who's doing propaganda for a candidate and who's actually reporting the news. But
it's all propaganda. That's why people have to do their own research when it comes to politics and go and, Google these politicians and see what they stand for. Do you agree with what they are standing for and what they claim they're going to fight for? If so, then that's who you vote for. Don't go by a Democrat or Republican or CNN or Fox News or none of that shit, because at the end of the day, it's all propaganda.
Right. When I was growing up, I used to be a Democrat. So I would always go for the Democratic candidate. And then when you get older,
when I was younger,
you start to read books. You start to actually know the history behind certain situations, and like particularly in the black community, the Democrats consistently for 50 years have been receiving the black vote.
Just because they're Democrat.
And we haven't got anything tangible to say like this, or intangible to say like this is some progress that we've made. Mm-hmm. We haven't done any of that. They haven't done any of that for us. So right now I'm just an independent. I'm mostly aligned with the libertarian philosophy. And for the first time ever, I didn't vote for a Democrat or a Republican in the presidential election. And I don't think I ever will again. It just doesn't seem like these people give a shit about anybody. And they got people like Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson that are coming out here just espousing whatever they think their audience will want to hear. I don't think Don Lemon really wanted to talk about Trump, but it was good for their ratings. Mm-hmm. So they kept building him up. And then when Trump got too big for them to destroy and Frankenstein took over and started whooping ass and he became president, and he would call out Don Lemon by name. He would call out Brian Stelter, who was also on CNN. He called out Jamel Hill on ESPN. He was calling out everybody. And now they realize, oh, we shouldn't have been boosting this guy up, but it was too late. Yeah. So I don't feel bad for Trump criticizing them. I don't feel bad about all these people losing their damn jobs. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you got to stand up for whatever it is you believe in, whether you're an anchor or not. I know part of your job, you're going to have to go along with the propaganda that they want you to put. But if you choose to have that job, you got to do it. And also, no, I mean, everybody is replaceable at the end of the day. Nobody's job is fucking guaranteed. I don't care how much ass you want to kiss. No one's job is guaranteed. Look at Jamie Foxx. He fucking suffered a stroke on the set of his new movie. And 8 days later, they got a stunt double and they finished the movie without him.
Yeah, life goes on.
Life goes on,
That's a Tupac song, too.
By the way, guys, sorry, babe, to interrupt. But by the way, on FX, Dear Mama, it's a documentary about Tupac and his mom. You guys got to see that. I recommend everyone watch it. I learned a lot. by watching that documentary, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know, like especially about his mom. Like, wow, um, sidetrack. I know this wasn't one of the topics we were going to discuss, but I just had to mention that because everybody got to watch that. Check it out, guys. It's on FX. It's called Dear Mama,
Yeah,
and I
it's
think it's like
also
4 parts. I
it's
haven't.
five.
I am not done with it yet. They're putting out like 2 parts at a time.
Actually, they put out 2 parts last week. 2 parts 2 weeks ago, and then 1 part last week, and then after that it's 2 more. So it's a total of 5. And yeah, it's a pretty good
It's
documentary.
really, really good.
And
I'm
Tupac, he
enjoying
was
it.
political, so you'll have a lot of insight into his political background and why he became the person he became. And it's a crazy story. But I already knew a lot of it, but this documentary was so well done that I didn't know a lot.
Like
The-
especially with his about his mom. Like
right, the thing.
she was amazing, man. She was just amazing.
I'm a huge. Actually, I got Tupac on my shirt right here.
Yeah, you do.
Tupac, I was a fan of his, before he died, obviously, and continued to be a fan of his. But I've seen every Tupac documentary, read books on him, heard people talk about him in interviews, and when the movie came out, All Eyes on Me, I didn't like the movie. I thought it was trash because everything in that movie I knew already, and I tried to watch it again, and it just didn't do it for me. I knew everything. It was a shitty movie.
Yeah.
But this documentary is really well done. And Tupac, he's the type of figure that you can't do a documentary on. I mean, I'm sorry, a full length movie on.
It would take too long.
No, it has to be like an episodic series,
Yeah.
like the Selena series that they did on
Netflix.
On Netflix, like the Wu-Tang series. It's 3 seasons to that. It would have to be something along those lines.
Even though he lived a short life, like he died at a young age, but just his life is crazy. Like it's a shame. Like, why the good die young? I really do think he would have done so much good here. Not to say that he didn't, but he kind of got caught up with I don't want to say the wrong crowd because he's a grown ass man and makes his own decisions, but I think he kind of got sidetracked, and he would have did a lot of good if he was still alive today.
Yeah, he died at 25. He had just turned 25 about, I think, 2 months before he died. He made a mistake. He ended up putting his hands on a gang member that he shouldn't have hit, and they retaliated, and that's how he ended his life. But that happens all the time. Tupac is no different, and he found that out. Obviously, he couldn't say anything about how he regret what happened because he ended up passing away 7 days later. But
And I think he spoke that into existence too.
yeah, Tupac
because
wanted. I think
he
Tupac.
kept saying shit like in his songs and stuff. So I think I don't want to say he spoke it into existence, but maybe he had an intuition that he was going to be passing soon, something, because he did talk about dying, the last year of his life.
I think he wanted to die already. I think he was tired of this earth. He was tired of life. He wanted to leave, and you can speak that into existence. You can cause things to come into place where it hastens your death. We all start dying the day that we're born. Death starts as soon as you're born. You start to die because the clock on your death starts ticking down.
Oh, don't say that. I don't want to die.
Everybody's gonna pass away. You have no
Not
choice.
me.
You have no choice. We all gotta go. But he brought it on with picking, at Biggie. He wrote a song, Hit 'Em Up, where he talked about sleeping with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans.
Yeah.
He was dissing people in the underworld, in the crime world. He was doing a lot of things that can get you killed. And he was known for hitting people.
He was a hothead. He couldn't control his temper, and
Well, he was known for swinging on people. That was a normal thing. What he did to Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand.
which is funny because he was one of the people that did the documentary.
No, Orlando Anderson wasn't one of
No,
the.
not Orlando Anderson. The
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the Orlando Anderson is the guy who allegedly killed Tupac.
okay. No, he wasn't in the documentary.
Yeah, because he's deceased as well. But what I was gonna say is, Orlando Anderson, when he hit him, Tupac was known for hitting people, so he just hit the wrong guy. That's all it is. And you were talking about the Hughes brothers. They directed Menace to Society. Tupac was supposed to be in that movie along with Jada Pinkett, and he didn't like the way his character was being portrayed. So he got into a fight with the Hughes brothers and some other guys. They jumped him. They ended up putting a lawsuit against him or sending Tupac to jail. And now the guy that he beat up, like 20 plus years later, is doing a documentary on him. Yeah. And a lot of people are thinking it's not fair that this particular guy is doing, the documentary. But to me,
it's well done.
It's as long as you fair. And so far, I've seen 3 parts, and it looks fair. It looks like he did his homework. He dug deep into the story between Tupac. And you got to remember, the documentary is not just about Tupac. It's about Tupac and his mother. So the documentary is done very well. But if you guys get a chance to check it out, check it out. If you're a Tupac fan or not, just check out, this story about this man that did a lot in 25 years that most people can't do in 50 years or 100 years.
Yep,
and that's extraordinary. And I think he was just we're all energy, we're all energy that live in the physical world, and he just had all that energy and he just exploded and all that, came out. But, rest in peace to Tupac. We still listen to his music.
And his mama, rest in peace.
Yeah, she died in 2016. She died before the movie came out.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on to our next story. This is a local story about a proposition in San Antonio that would allow San Antonio to become like San Francisco and every other city in California by allowing people to steal up to a certain amount of merchandise, price-wise, before they're considered a criminal. And this happens to be $750. But there's a Proposition A on the ballot that we have to vote on May 6th here in San Antonio. And this is part of the proposition right here. I'm going to read a little bit, then I'm going to play a clip. All right, let me read this. Proposition A would decriminalize abortion and low-level marijuana possession, ban no-knock warrants and chokeholds by law enforcement, create a, quote, justice director job at City Hall, and require police to issue citations for certain low-level, nonviolent offenses instead of making arrests. So this is what people are complaining about. This actually may be a good thing. Let's take it one by one. Decriminalize abortion. I agree with. You agree with it?
I agree with that.
Decriminalizing low-level marijuana possession.
I agree with that as well.
Me too. Ban no-knock warrants. I agree with that. Ban chokeholds by law enforcement. I agree with that. And, to issue citation for certain low-level nonviolent offenses instead of making arrests.
I disagree with that one.
I only agree with that if that person doesn't have a history of low-level arrest. How many low-level arrests are you going to have to get in order for them to say, you know what, we're going to have to keep you in jail a little bit longer than we normally would? But let me play this clip real quick.
Tonight, a city ballot proposition has some local businesses and the police union concerned.
Yeah, that's because Proposition A would prevent officers from making arrests for certain crimes and instead require them to issue a ticket.
KENS 5's Andrew Moore tells us how businesses are fighting back. Andrew?
The proposition would make an officer issue a citation for crimes such as theft of property worth less than $750 or for damage caused by graffiti that's less than $2,500. It would also apply to other crimes. Business owners worry that's just going to open the door for more crime in general.
I don't think people really knew what was in the full ballot.
Proposition A would prevent police from enforcing some marijuana crimes, but scroll down far enough and you'll see it does a lot more. Under Section 180, it requires a cite and release policy for non-drug related crimes, including theft.
Someone can steal up to $750 worth of property or damage from an individual or a business.
Under the proposition, police could still stop someone, but typically could not arrest them. Instead, the suspect would get a ticket and be expected to willingly attend their court date. It's the same thing for theft of service or refusing to pay for something like a meal. Eddie Aldrete, co-chair of the San Antonio Safe Pack, says businesses are worried.
They may now have to collect your debit card or credit card before they'll seat you at a table because they're afraid that you might walk the tab.
Meanwhile, Carolina Canizales says giving people a chance to avoid jail is worth the risk.
We share the concern, but we believe there's more people that would benefit, right, from a second chance than there will be people stealing.
Even simple assault is in a Class C stage or classification. We won't be able to arrest for that either. It's taking away officer discretion.
And finally, the proposition would still allow for an arrest if the officer had no way of identifying the suspect, but it would also require a supervisor to sign off on that. Andrew Moore, KENS 5.
Imagine this shit. If this passes, if this passes, so many people are gonna just be going to Walmart, fucking shopping, and just walking out the door and not paying, and then like. Peace out. Give me my citation now. I gotta go hit up fucking Home Depot. You know?
They're gonna be shopping with a calculator.
Yeah. Oh, yep. As long as I'm under $750, I'm good.
I wonder if the $750 is just before tax or after tax.
They're gonna calculate the tax. Well, you know, when I shop, just so I can make sure I don't overspend, I calculate the tax too. So, you know, hopefully these shoplifters are doing that as well, because you know, if not, they'll go to jail if it's over $750 if this passes.
And the thing is, they can implement all these other laws that they wanted to do, the no-knock warrant.
Separate
yeah,
that.
but they don't want to, and they just trying to get this passed. It's like in legislation in Congress, they'll do a bill, right, that they want to pass, and then another member that don't want the bill to pass, they'll implement what they call a poison pill piece of legislation. The poison pill basically kills the bill from getting passed because they'll put something in there that nobody would vote for. So they'll be like, oh, we want to, do something for climate control, and somebody might be against that. And then they'll put something in there that says, let's legalize, something crazy that everybody would disagree with. I don't know what it could be, but something ridiculous. And everybody goes, oh, we can't pass that because we don't want that to pass. They do that all the time, but it seems like these people did it to themselves. They shot themselves in the foot because they're actually created the bill, got enough signatures or whatever they needed to do to put it on the ballot, but at the same time they put a poison pill in their own legislation or in their own proposition. And how is it going to pass when people don't want it?
Right.
It's just a fucked up law that people are going to have to try to navigate around if they actually pass this. I don't think it'll pass though. What do you think?
I don't think it's gonna pass either. Like, just when we're like driving around San Antonio, like we're seeing a lot more of vote against Prop A signs than vote for it. So I don't think it's gonna pass. And I agree, they should have separated, because there's several of those in there that I'm for. I'm for eliminating the
no-knock warrants.
The no-knock warrants. I'm for that, They should continue to fucking knock if you're gonna issue a warrant in somebody's home. You know what I mean? Especially everybody like is armed in Texas. So I'm for that, I'm for them not prosecuting if you got a little bit of weed on you. You know what I mean? And I don't think you should go to jail if you got a little bit of weed on you. I'm for that as well. I'm just not for this fucking being able to steal under $750 worth and then just giving you a citation instead of arresting you and hoping that you'll show up for court or hoping that you'll pay the fine. Like, motherfucker, I just stole, all this items. You really think that I'm going to fucking pay a fine? You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's ridiculous. And I think so many people are going to lose if that passes,
But they were saying that they don't think it's enforceable because it says Under the Texas Constitution, cities with 5,000 or more people can hold elections to amend their charters, but the changes cannot be inconsistent with the Constitution or laws passed by the legislature. That has raised all kinds of questions about what would happen if voters approve Proposition A and the ripple effect it could have statewide. So they're testing it here in San Antonio, but if it's not enforceable by state law, then there's a conflict. And then
So then it'll go to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, we'll go to the Texas Supreme Court, and then if it doesn't, I don't know if the Supreme Court can actually, the United States Supreme Court can actually, say if the Texas Supreme Court says this is invalid, can you then appeal to the Supreme Court? But how does that work when Texas, like every other state, have statewide sovereignty where you can't, the Supreme Court can't just go inside and say, look, well, the Texas Constitution says this, but it's incompatible with whatever the U.S. Constitution is, so y'all can't do that. I don't know how that works. I don't know if the U.S. Supreme Court can even do anything about this.
And I just think that that'll take so much time, and they're not going to want to do any of that shit.
No, I don't think so.
To be honest, I think it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, I think that they try to get something passed that is going to help everybody. I do think it's helpful to everybody, but that doesn't do it. I just don't understand, why would you put that piece of language in there that says that? No one is going to go for that. If somebody is breaking into your car and they steal a particular thing from your car, it's not even a crime. Or if it's a low-level crime, they can only get a citation because somebody has to determine how much is that worth. Now, to me, I could say it's worth $800. So, somebody else might say, oh, it's only worth $500. So what do you do in that situation? Allow them to just get their little citation and move on? It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's just crazy. I can't believe they would actually put that here in Texas. But thank God the Republicans are actually fighting back on this.
Even the mayor.
The mayor, yeah.
The mayor also is like, vote against it. Like, because it's true, like, it's going to hurt a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses are going to lose money. It's going to be forcing a lot of stores to close. I mean, we are seeing it in like places like California. How many stores are not closing in California because you have all these people just going in and shopping and taking anything that they want? I think the value in California is what, like $900?
It's $900.
Yeah, so in California, as long as all the items that you're stealing are under $900, then you're not going to get prosecuted. All the people that are in California, that's why all these stores are closing, because they can't afford to stay open, even though they're insured. But come on, these insurance companies are not going to want to be paying millions and millions of dollars on a monthly basis because you have a whole bunch of residents that are just going in there shopping and not paying for anything. It's ridiculous. Like, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt all the people. If that passes here in San Antonio, it's going to hurt a lot of people here in San Antonio, because then they're going to be raising the prices on items for us people that will be paying for our items, for the stores that are able to remain open. It's just, I don't think it should pass, in my opinion, because of that. Not because of the other things that I agree is a good idea that they should pass, but just because of this one thing where you can be able to steal $750 worth of items and then just be issued a citation. Like, it's ridiculous. People are going to be just spending the whole fucking day just shoplifting from store to store. They're going to be, hey, what's on the shopping list today? You need anything? I'm about to go hit up Walmart. Like, come on.
They're just going to take whatever they want to take.
Just take whatever. And then when the cops get there, it's like, just give me my citation, bro. I got another store I got to hit up. Like, come on.
Right.
And then also restaurants. They're going to be going to restaurants, eating all this food, you know what I mean? And then not paying. And, hey, if you eating and the bill is under $750, which it is. I mean, come on, there's only so much you can eat in one sitting. These restaurants are also going to be out of money. It's not fair. Like, I just don't understand why they would even put that in there.
Well, it like the guy said on the video, on the news clip, what he was saying, in restaurants, they're going to ask for your debit card or your credit card first before they seat you, which is okay with me. If they want to pass a law like that, then go ahead. Or they would have to, if they're paying in cash, they would have to pay a certain amount up front in cash, what they think they might spend, and then they'll just give you like a refund, refund you the rest of the money.
Yeah.
Like you just give them $200 in cash, and then they said, well, you only used 150 of this, plus your tip. You may have left, $20 tip or something like that. All right, here's the rest.
But
back.
that's just they shouldn't have to do that.
Well,
You
and
know what I'm saying?
the mayor, and it says right here, the mayor, Ron Nierenberg, who does not identify with the political party, but is often a Democratic ally, and he's also running for re-election on May 6th, on the same ballot. But he said that he's against it. He said trying to solve problems at the wrong level of government, saying they're trying to solve problems at the wrong level of government, and cited what he calls lack of consequences for offenses like theft up to $750. And he's saying that it's not pocket change, and how Prop A unfortunately ignores the victims, from small businesses to nonprofits to really any working family who wakes up to a smashed car window, and that's right. And then some of the progressives that are supporting him now, they're against him because he's against this proposition. But this is the weirdest thing ever. They're shooting themselves in the foot over a nonsense piece of language in there that was going to allow people to take shit. But I think that it'll go down, but we'll update people on that. But if you're in San Antonio, vote no against Prop A for that reason alone, and then maybe they can come back.
Not because of the weed thing, you know
Or
what
the
I mean,
abortion.
or the abortion thing that we do agree. That part should pass, but they shouldn't have incorporated it all with this one bill.
Well, this is going to be a fight between the Republicans and the Democrats. And like I said, I'm non-political, or I don't have a political side. So in this case, you got to be the umpire. That's what we should be. We should call a ball, a strike as voters, instead of aligning ourselves with one particular party. If this is wrong, it's wrong.
Right.
And
This is wrong.
I'm going to have to side with the Republicans on this.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, but I guess that's it. And
Oh, before
Go
I
ahead.
forget, so last week I mentioned the Menendez brothers and how one of the band members of Menudo, this 80s boy band, he is going to be having a documentary come out on Tuesday the 2nd on Paramount. And so I wanted to remind you guys, I'm going to watch that, and then next week I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on it. So if you're listening, tune in as well so you can give me your feedback, your thoughts on what you think. But
hold on, let's see.
oh,
That.
sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what time. Are you looking up the time it's gonna come on?
No, I don't know what time it is.
I do not.
Well, no, I think it's on a streaming service, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't matter what I don't really. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but yeah, that it's going to be a good documentary, I guess.
Yeah, I want to see it because I'm curious. We actually watched a show today. It's funny. About the Menendez brothers and that story, and yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because we don't know if his father really did molest these boys and rape them
I think
as
he
they
did.
claim. We don't know, but if he did, and they killed them, and what we know, they killed their parents, but they've already been in jail for 32 years. So would you, if after this documentary comes out by that boy band from Menudo, and he also says that Jose Menendez molested him or raped him, do you think that the Menendez brothers should be let out of prison with time served? Because they've been in there for 32 years.
I think so.
I think so too.
I
if
believed
it's
them when they
true.
said the story. I mean, I was just a kid at the time when this happened, so I didn't really know the details. But after looking at some of the documentary footage and looking
and all
at
the witnesses
yeah,
that testified during the trial.
right. I think their father did what they alleged that he did, and I think they should be let out.
I'm still torn on that because, like I said, when I first watched this, I also was young. I wasn't even a teenager, but I actually was like, these are just spoiled kids. They just wanted the money and they couldn't wait for their parents to die for them to get the money that they wanted. And also, like, on the stand with them crying and stuff like that, I'm like, you're gonna be an actor if you're on the stand fighting for your life. You don't want to go to prison. They know that you killed your parents, so they had to have some kind of defense. But then it's kind of like they got all of their family and friends also to go along with that story, because they all were testifying how, the family was like abusive, and you can tell the way that the kids acted that something wasn't right. And so I don't know. I'm just, that's why I'm so curious to see what this guy, I think his name was Roy or Ray.
I don't
forgot
know.
his name. I forgot but
Yeah, he was part of that. What was Menudo?
Menudo, yeah, from the 80s.
With Ricky
But
Martin, right?
yeah, Ricky Martin was also Menudo. Look
Yeah.
at you knowing your Menudo
Yeah, but
boy band members. but
but I think they're going to give him a. I don't know if they can get a new trial, but
I
they
don't-
might get released.
I think they might get
It's
released.
one of those things where they're like, yeah, we're going to let you guys go. I thought they should have been convicted of voluntary manslaughter, not first degree or second degree murder. It should have been voluntary manslaughter, because in the first trial,
It was
the
a hung jury.
Yeah, because the family came out and said, yeah, we heard stories about, what was the dad's name? Jose Menendez molesting his sons. If you're getting everybody to testify to that, that's why it was a hung jury. And the men, it was 6 men, 6 women. All the men said guilty.
The men said guilty
And the
because they're
female-
like, these guys are fucking teenagers already. So they're still letting their dad rape them. Like, come on. But
the 6 women were saying no, but they didn't. It ended in a hung jury, but they didn't allow that information into the
second
retrial.
trial.
So that's how they got convicted, and they've exhausted all their appeals, and they admitted to killing them, and it took like 4 years before they even got caught, because of a
Right.
psychiatrist went home, told his girlfriend what happened.
So
that
that
the
he
boy
confessed, and he recorded
Recorded
it.
it.
He didn't videotape it, but he recorded it.
And she got mad when they broke up and did some shady shit, and she went and told the police and told them where they got the gun from, and there's an audio version of this. So
That's how they got caught.
technically the guy didn't go to the authorities, the psychiatrist, but he told his girlfriend. He was pillow talking,
Yeah.
and she ended up spilling the beans to the cops, and that's how they ended up in jail.
But at the same time, too, think about it.
But if they did, if
The
the dad did molest him, he got what he deserved.
Yeah, I agree. But I still think that they should be in prison because they did kill their parents. Now, that involuntary manslaughter, I would agree with if when they did it, they turned themselves what is it, voluntary?
No, it was voluntary manslaughter.
Voluntary manslaughter. But the reason I disagree with that is because if when they killed their parents, they called the cops and said, look, we killed our parents. This is what happened. We couldn't take it no more. Then that's totally different. But these guys acted like they had no idea who killed their parents. They were acting just like they could have been acting on the stand when they were crying and like, oh, you molested me. He used to rape me and all this shit. So you got to also take that into consideration as well. At the end of the day, they did kill their parents.
And I see where the man was coming from. Like, okay, you guys are teenagers. You're big and strong now. What, I forget the brother's name. Eric. I think he
and
was
Lyle.
in Princeton University. He was at Princeton, which is in New Jersey. The crimes happened
In California.
in Beverly Hills. The younger brother was supposed to go to UCLA, and apparently he was still being touched by his dad, allegedly, according to him. But a lot of people are going to say you were old enough to move out, but people got to understand, like, when someone get molested, it's not just a physical thing; it's a psychological thing as well. So he may have had a psychological stronghold on him where he was still molesting him at a certain age, where we would think somebody would fight him off, but he's like going with it because this is what he knows. It's sick.
Yeah, we
If that's
really
true, I
know
don't
if that's
fucking.
true.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know, and we can only go by what was said in court. And I think we should, like, based our opinions on what happened in the first trial because the family members were able to testify, and that was, admissible in court. Whereas the second trial, the judge ruled that a lot of that stuff wasn't admissible in the second trial. So we don't know exactly had they presented that or were allowed to present that in court during the second trial, would it have been a hung jury or not guilty.
Yeah.
But I thought they should have went to jail. I thought it should have been voluntary manslaughter, if that was true, which I believe 90% of it to be true, or I'm in that camp where I think 90% of it was true. I think that they should have got 10, 15 years. They would have been out a long, long time ago.
Even if they were sentenced to 25 years, they would have been out.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get that much for voluntary manslaughter. I think the max is 15 years or something like that. Yeah. But what do you think about them getting out?
To be honest, if after this documentary comes out, I'm pretty sure there's going to be outrage. There's going to be petitions, trying to get them out. If they do let them out, I'm cool with that. I mean, they served 32 years. You know what I mean? So I'll be okay with that. But we'll see. That documentary comes out on the 2nd.
Yeah, so right here it says California voluntary manslaughter law, you face from 3 years to 6 years or 11 years in the California State Prison. So 3 to 11 years was all they were going to get for voluntary manslaughter. So they would have definitely been out. They would have been out in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But as of right now, they have life in prison. Damn. They fucked up. Should have ran away from home.
I've
seen people run away from home for less.
I know. They get grounded. I used to run away from home if I got grounded. Or my mom said, you're punished and you can't talk on the phone. Shit. Could you imagine? But, yeah, that's crazy. They would have definitely. I mean, I think they should be out. They did 32 years already.
I guess.
Yeah, they did 32 years already.
Yeah, I think they should get out.
And also, they were doing good stuff in prison. They have therapy. They're mentoring other inmates that are in prison.
Yeah, they should definitely be let out.
So it's not like they're in there, causing trouble. I don't know.
How do you know they're not causing trouble?
Well, because remember the documentary we watched today with that Blood and Money episode that we watched today about that? They were saying how they are doing good things in prison, So that's why. That's where I got that from. Blood and Money, that's also it's a crime show on Oxygen.
Yeah, so they're 55 years old. The other brother is 52.
Yeah, wow.
And when they killed their parents, Lyle was 21 and Eric was 18. Damn. Everything has been in prison for them.
Wow.
Sucks.
Yeah,
They should be let out. They're fine. They're not gonna. They're old men. Not that 50-year-olds can't kill anybody, but they've served enough time.
I don't think that they would kill anyone.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm pretty sure they're and who knows? They probably only did that because they felt that was the only way,
to get away from them. The mental aspect of it. Physically, they could just get away from them. They're 18 years old, but he has a lot of money. A lot of when you have a lot of money, that comes with a lot of influence. So maybe he could have make sure they didn't get a certain job they wanted. He could twist somebody's arm, just say, "Hey, they can't do this or do that." You never know.
Yeah, no one really knows the truth, but
except them and the person who's dead.
Yeah, but I do think that they should be let out. They did 32 years.
All right, that's it for us, and I guess we'll see you guys next week. Remember to check me out also on Hard R Comedy, Hard, the letter R, then Comedy, along with Daniel and Rylan. And just give us a thumbs up on this episode and leave a comment, subscribe, and do whatever else y'all do.
Yep. Thanks for listening, guys. Peace.
Peace.